Prabhuji, can you please allow share screen?
One second, Prabhu, I'm doing it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, I can see that now.
Yes, we have the control now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are not present here.
Can we see the slides, Prabhu? Prabhu?
Are you able
Yes.
to see the slide, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu, we can see the slides. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Shall I start, Prabhu? It's fine, right?
Yes,
Yes, Mata, you can start.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat pranams. And we, just to recap, we had a detailed discussion on how Krishna is the supreme couple of weeks ago. Back, I think it's just a couple of weeks ago, and we defined how Krishna is the source of everything. And today we will continue with the essence of CaturShloki. Also, it's called as nutshell verses, which is based on teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And once again, we seek all your blessings in this endeavor, and please interrupt if there is any corrections, whatever is required, please do interrupt. Thank you. And to start with, we will be defining the pure bhakti. This is the pure bhakti, where the essence clearly defines here that we are reaching out to the sambandha is Krishna, bhakti is abhideya, and prema is prayojana. And this is called CaturShloki Bhagavad Gita, which explains the essence and describes the real nature of Krishna and the bhakti of topmost devotees as well. In 10.8, it explains those who know I am the source of everything become enlightened. That is, they become Buddha and are devoted to me wholeheartedly, where it is also called Bhava Samanvitaha. And in 10.9, we'll explain how they become devoted to me, talks about their behavior. And in 10.10 and 11 explains how they become Buddha, and that is in 10.10, and we will describe how the Lord will give the intelligence, and in 11 how he enlightens is further described. Next. Yes, here we will see there is an emphasis on the Sambandha Jnana, where Krishna as the original source of all the spiritual and the material worlds. And the shloka goes as Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam prapartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The Lord is in his incarnation as Vyasadeva. The Lord in his incarnation as Vyasadeva explains that he is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra, and here the Lord is giving us in summary the contents of the Vedanta Sutra. They are all agreeable to the purpose of the creation, and as we all know, in the spiritual world there is no such thing as creation. But since the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, is the source of all emanations, that conception is explained. This establishes universal brotherhood, where how does it establish? Because if you love Krishna in Krishna consciousness, you will love everyone as brotherhood. To explain this with an example, we like similarities like I'm North Indian, you're South Indian, and that is how we interact and connect with each other. Because of our natural bond due to our bodily consciousness, this connection is by default. And just imagine if we are in Krishna consciousness, the whole world will be like our brotherhood, and we will start loving the whole world. And describing the bhakti belonging to the highest devotees in 4 verses 8 to 11, the Lord describes the real nature of himself, which generates and nourishes that bhakti. Devotees are simply happy by having a relationship with him, and they do not endeavor anything else. And to explain, next. Yes, in this verse, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, in this verse, Srila Prabhupada quotes that Krishna also explains Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Paravartate iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. With ecstatic love, they worship Krishna. Bhajante Mam is stressed, and practical realization of God takes place through loving devotional service. That is indicated here by the words bhajante mam and bhava samanvitaha in this verse. And also the stage of transition of jnana to bhakti plays in the stage of shantarasa, where there is appreciation of Krishna's greatness. With ecstatic love, they worship Krishna, which is bhajante mam. Next. I think that's not working. Further, Srila Prabhupada quotes that Krishna says that Matta Parataram Nanyat, where there is no more superior existence than myself. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, I am the origin. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, also we see Janmadasya Yataha. This verse is the code verse for Vedanta Sutra, and is explained by Krishna himself that I am the origin of everything. And in the purport, in Srila Prabhupada's purport, we see that it defines I am Swayam Bhagwan Krishna, the cause of everything, the cause of the whole material manifestation, headed by Brahmaji and Shivji. When we focus on the purport of 10.8, in the verse Sri Krishna begins his explanation of how a Vedantist should move beyond intellectual theory to practical realization of absolute truth. And a learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya, who knows how to apply these teachings, can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything, and in both the material and the spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools, how Srila Prabhupada explains. And Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born from me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me, and no one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. And here, Srila Prabhupada in this verse is showering his mercy to explain us that Krishna is a person, and he refutes Mayavadi concept of impersonalism by many references. He is bringing many references from all the Upanishads and Shastras, where it starts with Gopalatapani Upanishad. It states, Krishna is beginning, in the beginning gave knowledge to Brahma. And in Narayana Upanishad it states, Supreme Person. The Narayana desired to create living entities, thus Brahmaji, with 25 patriarchs, Indra, 8 Vasus, 11 Rudras, and 12 Adityas were born. And Narayana is an expansion of Krishna himself. And in Maha Upanishad it states, in the beginning of creation, there was only one Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there was only one Supreme Personality, which is Narayana. And in Moksha Dharma, Krishna says, patriarchs, Shiva, and others are created by him, although they do not know, so because they are deluded by his illusionary energy. Varaha Purana states, Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom Lord Brahma and further Lord Shiva is born. What is the result of knowing all of this? One should surrender and engage in devotional service and worship Krishna with all their hearts. And now we will see the shloka references supporting this verse to prove that yes, what we've learned is right. And which is in Bhagavad Gita itself, we will see in 7th chapter and 3rd verse, Krishna confirms, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam siddhanam kaschin mam vedi tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. And in 7th chapter, 19th verse also, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is such a great soul is very. And in the 4th chapter, it also we see verses which states, Vitaraga bhayakroda manmaya mam upashrutaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhavamagataha. Being free from the attachment, anger, and fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. And we see another last verse from 18th chapter. Brahma bhuta prasannatma nasochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. We can actually quote many verses from Bhagavad Gita. So we've just given only a couple of them. And here Krishna also speaks about how fools deride and how fools. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada explains how fools. Sri Krishna explains how fools don't consider this and they think that Krishna is an ordinary man. Where in the 9th chapter he himself claims, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. And in the 7th chapter, 24th verse, unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I am Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. And now we will move on to the next verse, which is Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter 9th verse, which is Madchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayantaha Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Sri Krishna glorifies Shravanam and Kirtanam in the association of pure devotees of the Lord. He is advising the wise Vedantists who have developed preliminary devotional service sentiments, appreciating his greatness to take the association of his devotees and thus become perfect in Krishna consciousness. This way, he behaves in such a way that he forgets his identity with his body. And Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushana explains in Gita Bhushana as this verse describes the process of pure bhakti. They are absorbed in remembering me, Madchitta. They cannot maintain their lives without me. Like fish cannot live without water, Madgata Prana. They reveal to each other my form, qualities, and beauty. Bodhayanta Parasparam. They speak about me, an ocean affection for the devotee, about my extremely variegated pastimes. In this way, by worship in the form of remembering, hearing, and chanting, they are satisfied. Tushyanti, as if drinking nectar. They enjoy this Ramanti just as a young boy enjoys the smiling glances of a young girl. Krishna.
That's the analogy.
Yes, this is an analogy that was quoted by Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushana. And Krishna becomes his life and soul, and he constantly hears about and discusses Krishna. This way, they are always enlightening one another, conversing the glories and pastimes of the Lord. And the symptoms of a devotee are described in the next, in the preliminary stages. Where it starts off, it is defined in 8 stages of Bhakti Lata Bija is referred here as an analogy by Srila Prabhupada. And the preliminary stage referred here is the stage of Ruchi as confirmed in Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura. He also states that mature stage begins with Asakti. This way, Asakti is transcendental attachment is the threshold of Raga Bhakti. And what do the devotees discuss then? A reference is given in Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishvanam Priyam. Sorry about that. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana, completely free of contamination by modes of nature. It is most dear to Vaishnavas because it describes the pure and supreme knowledge of Paramahamsas. The Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from all material work. Together with the processes of transcendental knowledge, renunciation, and devotion, anyone who seriously tries to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, who properly hears and chants it with devotion, becomes completely liberated. And here in the next slide, we see that here Srila Prabhupada quotes the famous verse of Atma Rama. Suta uvacha Atma Ramascha munayo nirgrahanta api urukrame kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim ittam bhuta guno harihi. All different varieties of Atma Rams, those who take pleasure in Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Till now, we saw how Krishna is everything and how a devotee grasps Lord's infinite form, qualities, and powers. And also we saw who gives the devotee the method of realizing. And in these two verses, we will describe how Krishna reciprocates, and Shiv will explain that further.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Yeah, so Krishna says in these two important verses, that is 10.10 and 11, and how he reciprocates with his devotees. The verses, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they come back to me. So moving on, in this particular purport, what we see here is the ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master is again and again re-emphasized by Srila Prabhupada. And he emphasizes that the spiritual master is very important here. One should know that there are different steps of yoga, which we have seen in our previous chapters, which is the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, which we'll see in the next slide. And the goal is Krishna. And when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed. And the ultimate goal is, that's how it is achieved. So here, what happens in this particular verse, in the 10th verse is, he gives intelligence to his devotees, who joyfully discusses Krishna Katha by association of devotees. And Lord gives the intelligence here. For what does he give the intelligence or buddhi? Just to coming back to him. That is, yenamam upayantite. And he gives that with two conditions. One, Desham, and two, Satata Yuktana, the devotees who are 24/7 in connection with Krishna. And how is the process done? It is in Priti Purvaka, the method of love. That is the essential means to attain pure Buddhi Yoga. That's what is emphasized here. Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means mystic activities, or the mystic elevation is explained here. Shri Krishna as Paramatma in the heart of all living beings is the source of Buddhi. Becoming conscious of him is the goal of this particular Buddhi Yoga. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained here as being direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. Another point is that even a highly advanced devotee feels himself to be a fool at times, and thus in loving devotion he depends upon Krishna for everything. So moving on, this is which we were talking about, the steps of yoga a while ago. Here different steps of yoga are displayed that we learned in our earlier chapters of Bhagavad Gita. The same is again emphasized by Srila Prabhupada, which is the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and the Buddhi Yoga. And the importance of Buddhi Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, is emphasized here regardless of the situation. Would like to quote a situation or a scenario here about the material position of a devotee doesn't matter, because devotional service is not dependent on material considerations. Just for a reference, if we remember, in his earlier life, Srila Rupa Goswami was a government officer and a grahastha. He was not even a brahmachari or a sannyasi. He associated with mlechas as well as yavanas, but because he was always eager to serve, he was a qualified recipient of the Lord's mercy. So a sincere devotee can therefore be empowered by the Lord regardless of his situation. And Lord gives the mercy here, or the intelligence here. So these are several quotes of Srila Prabhupada for the same verse, where he talks about the bhava of the devotees. And this particular verse and from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, where the inhabitants of Vrindavana, including the gopis, that is Kevalena hi bhavena gopya rava mata mrigaha, which is inanimate, non-inanimate, all those things, that is the gopis, cows, unmoving creatures such as the twin Arjuna trees, animals, living entities with stunted consciousness such as the bushes and thickets, all and snakes such as Kalia, all achieve the perfection of life by unalloyed love for me, and thus very easily achieved me. Further, Srila Prabhupada also quotes about this in the fourth canto, the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead speaks directly to the individual soul when the devotee has completely purified himself by rendering devotional service to the Lord. Lord Krishna confirms this also in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. That's the reference that was given in Srimad Bhagavatam. And also in the seventh canto, the Lord sends the spiritual master to train a devotee. And when the devotee is advanced, the Lord acts as a spiritual master within his heart. These are some of the references that are given by Srila Prabhupada. And also, he quotes about, now we will see about this particular slide. We in 10.10, we learn that Krishna gives buddhi, that is the intelligence, to his devotees to understand him. And here in this particular verse, which is the 11th verse, we will see how Krishna gives intelligence or buddhi to his devotees, and he mercifully destroys and removes all ignorance from the heart of the devotee. And the verse goes as Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhashvataha. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So here we might find that some devotees might be illiterate. At times they can't read Bhagavad Gita, but they are fully devoted. Maybe they are not learned in Sanskrit as well, or just they want to understand the scriptures. So this is where Krishna says, Tesham anukampartham aham ajnana jam tamaha, which means he takes pity on such devotees who, although trying to do devotional service under a guru, this is where Krishna states, aham ajnanatam jamaha, which is ajnana in his heart, I nashayami. So that is where he eradicates, or he destroys, or he burns down like a sun. How does he do this? By lighting up the lamp of knowledge. That is being quoted here in this particular verse as well as in the purport. So we'll see that further in this particular purport, how Srila Prabhupada explains elaborately by giving certain references of refuting Mayavadis and so on and so forth. When Lord Chaitanya was in Banaras promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. But there was one person, Prakashananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Banaras at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have just put forward the philosophy of devotion, and that is what being elaborated here via this purport. That is where Srila Prabhupada gives an analogy over here, as Krishna is like a shining lamp, or like a sun who clears the entire, or destroys or burns down the sins, or like a lamp or a sun who destroys all the darkness in the heart of a devotee. Now, what is the solution for conditioned living entity here? The heart is covered with the dust of materialism, as we know, from millions and millions of births, and it can be only cleaned by chanting and devotional service, and not by any other mental speculation or argument. We also see those famous verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, which talks about Vidyate Hridaya Granthi, Chiddante, knots, who burns down all the knots as well. So what about the material necessities of life? When darkness is removed and the Lord is pleased, everything is automatically provided by Lord himself here. So moving on to the next slide. This is where we conclude with this particular verse. He concludes everything here, that there is no possibility to understand the supreme truth simply by speculating, or simply by just reading scriptures or concocting on your own theories. The the Supreme Truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him simply by mental effort. Speculation or mere mental effort fails to help. So how is this possible then? What are the various ways to take care? Only by devotional service a devotee can please Lord. He can reveal himself to the heart of a pure devotee, and all darkness is dispelled. That is how he emphasizes and closes this particular verse with stating that the devotional service is the only way and the only way forward in anybody's life. That's how he'll be lightening or enlightening Arjuna, and then Arjuna is totally enlightened about here. And that's where we have seen in the previous class as well, where in the next verse, that is in 10.12, Arjuna starts asking questions about after surrendering. Then he started asking questions about it.
Thank you very much, everyone, for patient listening. And we would like to thank also Sadhu, Sangha, and Shastra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you have any questions, we can take Prabhu.
Prabhu, this really I enjoyed it. I'm sure other devotees also would have enjoyed. So I was struggling hard to fill up my template on the commentary. So anyway, I have to do this. So I have to do this, and then I'll leave for Mangal Prabhu. I'm sharing my screen. Just hold on.
Sure, we forgot to add one more thing, Prabhuji. These are all the references based on the article that you have shared. Thank you so much for that article. And also we have what you call seen all other scriptures and also Srila Prabhupada quotes, including Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti and also Baldev Vidyabhushan. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. And once again, thanks for your wonderful thing. So just quickly, I want to share something. I'm doing this evaluator seva as representing the whole group or lovely group. So I'm doing it for my own purification because it helps me to listen to the classes more carefully, probably than others. And I'm also a human being, so I can also make a lot of mistakes, which I do always. If you want to know, you can call my wife and know how many mistakes in a day I make. So
that's your humility, Prabhuji.
And if you do not agree with the observations, please ignore. But today, I don't think that will happen because many of them are only positive observations. So whatever observation that you have liked and agreed, I request you to take it up and improve. And upskilling communication skills is a continuous process, right? So when I was listening to you both, I quickly prepared a slide that, in my opinion, would explain your both presentations, the tone, tenor of your presentations. I would like to go through that slide. So this may look very funny to you, that why I'm referring this instead of talking about it. So in Uttarakhand Chardham, when you go, you get a lot of prayags. Prayag is a confluence of the rivers. Two such, oh sorry, there was a typing mistake. I did it in hurry. So two such prayags, very famous prayags are, one is Deva Prayag and one is Rudra Prayag. In both these prayags, when Ganga comes in different, different rivers, in one prayag we see Alkananda and Mandakini rivers meeting, and this is exactly the place which is like when I saw you both, the styles, your styles are very different in presenting. So Mandakini is like Shiva Prabhu, very calm, quiet, very thing, and Alkananda is very fast. She runs like mad, and they both meet, and then the Devaprayag happens. And Devaprayag also has a something to connect it with your own name, Shiva Prabhu, Samba Shiva Prabhu. And this is a place where Narada learned the music from Shiva. And there's a Narad Shila, and we had a good opportunity to visit these places along with Jagat Shakti Prabhu. And another very interesting place is called, these are the real life pictures. Huh? is the confluence of Alkananda and Bhagirathi. Here also we can see Alkananda coming, uh, a bit faster, but Bhagirathi comes super fast, and both of them meet. And when we take the dip also, you can not only see the change and difference in color, but you can also see the change in the current. If you go and take dip in one side, it's calm, quiet. In the other side, you have to hold yourself because the thing is very, very fast. And this also is a place where Lord Ramchandra had meditated after the Yuddha, Ravana Yuddha is over and his kingdom is established. He came in disguise here and he meditated and conveyed to the Lord. He was the Lord himself, but playing the role of a human being. That because of him, in order to help him, so many lives were lost, both from the Ravana side and from the army, monkey army side. So for that, as in an apologetic gesture, seeking the forgiveness, Ram did meditation here. It's a very, very nice place. This place also has got two different colors of rivers, two different flow, and then of course here it is also said that Saraswati river also underground meets thing, and from here only what we know as Ganga happens. So when I saw you both presenting together, it is, I think, probably the first time ever in our satsang we had this kind of a presentation where husband and wife coming together presenting, but in two different styles, two different ways, but again merging and going in the same topic. So I don't have anything to recommendation. I don't have anything to put in the improvements. This is my honest opinion. The class was good, the timing was good flow, straight on the topic. One was a fast flow, rapid force flow, and one is calm, quiet, and serene flow. Both are needed, both are excellent. I think it also shows your own personalities when you speak. That's very evident. Is a good combination. I also remembered my own very personal thing in my own home. It is Mataji represents my daughter, who is very extrovert, very pushy, like a strong force, and my son-in-law is like a lamb, very calm, quiet, and so it's pretty interesting combination I've seen in them. Hopefully when they come to Dubai, you will see that thing. And an excellent demonstration of lesson learned. If I have to capture anything, if I have to learn anything from you people, is that I will remember this lesson I learned today. Either last week when you presented last time, there is a bit of a communication gap in terms of timing and what you present, how to present, and then I've given a feedback, and super adoption of understanding of what went wrong there. I'm sorry I'm using the word wrong, but something didn't go well on that day. But to correct, completely take a U-turn, to come back and to hit a sixers like this, to hit a century like this is something great. That means it shows that you are willing to learn and a service attitude, willing to learn and able to accept that there were some issues, drawbacks that we need to correct, is the best thing that we can have in our life, not only in satsang and also in our material life. Introspection and willing to understand what others are saying and to get there. I think this is the best thing I remembered, and I also taken some few lessons from this, and very good demonstration. Within 2 weeks you turn around and completely did a totally different way the presentation, and a very good reference to Srila Prabhupada's purports and good analysis of the shlokas, the way you have analyzed it in a nice way, and good reference of good use of reference shlokas, shlokas from other what do you call
units and scriptures as well, other commentaries, commentators.
Shastras.
So this is what I conclude, Prabhu. Even though I leave it to Samangal Prabhu to say something about this, and I really appreciate. I also appreciate and thank God and Guru and Gauranga and the people. Even though Samangal Prabhu does not like it, but say that he conceived this program of Sevadari presentation, and I can clearly see what type of benefit that it is giving to all of us, not only to the speakers, but also to the listeners. And big thanks. And I will remember CaturShloki Bhagavad Gita for a long time, right? The way it is narrated. We will also steal your slides and we can use it in other sessions. And thanks a lot. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. I leave the floor to Sumangal Prabhu for a few minutes and then we'll go to the main class. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for. Yeah, Mataji, you want to say something to Prabhuji? I think.
No.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Prabhu.
I would like to add something, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for what you call the cute way, the interesting and the cute way of chastising us. We loved it. Please keep sharing your feedback in such a way so that there is always a room for improvements for us. Thank you so much once again.
This is the sporting mind. Prabhuji, after the last presentation, as soon as the presentation completed and you made your comment, immediately I call them, and I call them, I discuss that your feedback, that Prabhuji has given the feedback lovingly because he like us. That's why he give a feedback, honest feedback, where we need to improve. And I can see the very sporting way they took it, and that itself they express that they are happy to get your feedback, So I was very pleased because they are new, relatively new, but even being new, that they have that spirit of accepting your feedback very positive way, And today we can see that result of that, So I'm very pleased to see this improvement in them and the way they have taken your feedback. So I thank on behalf of all the devotees who have participated today. They're all learning from this actually, from your presentation and from the feedback from Jagjivan Prabhuji. Both of these are very learning for not only for you, for everybody else. And the mistake you made the last presentation, which Jagjivan Prabhu pointed out, that is also very learning lesson for all of us, not only for you, because they have observed you. From a distance, they can understand, but it's not very clear, where you have gone wrong, where you have made mistake. For you, it may not be very clear, but from a distance, for observing you, it's become clear, but they cannot very clearly understand. So when Jagjivan Prabhu pointed out, that becomes very clear to them. So that gives a very learning lesson for all of us, So thank you so much for participating in that sporting way. And thank you so much, Jagjivan Prabhuji, for his so beautiful feedback. We enjoy his feedback. So
yes, thank you so much again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we have two learning things. Your presentation and then Prabhuji's feedback. I think this is everybody is going to love it. So thank you so much for putting on my heart.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, sir. Prabhu,
All your blessings.
You, Prabhu and Mamta Mataji, I want to ask one very personal question. आपका बच्चा किस पे गया, बाप पे या माँ पे?
Prabhu, he's qualities wise like me, I think so, but he's carbon copy of his father because grandfather and himself and the child, all three look very alike. You won't differentiate the photographs.
Hare Krishna. So we'll move on to the main class.
Prabhu, I just want to thank the forum and everyone for this seva. And we really sorry we have shown some I would say not to the quality that really we would want to present. We're also going through a particular course where it's giving us very less time. We're sorry if we have presented in an under quality, but then I really, more than the way I did the presentation, usually when you do something you enjoy, but then here I enjoyed Prabhuji's feedback, which was like, I'm trying to think what he's trying to arrive at, which was really great. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, there's a point I was trying to make, Prabhuji, that they had a lot of other assignments, like they're going through some courses and there's some exams for that and some presentation also they're making that courses, but which I was not aware of actually, So they told me after I given the responsibility, after that they told me, So,
okay, Prabhu.
So they have taken this seva and did well, Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
So I
Thank
will
you.
move on to our main presentation, if you don't mind. Hare Krishna, Krishna